Hey YouTube, it's echobearchannel, and today I want to read an app for you guys that's called Mystic Messenger. Now, if you're not aware, on my channel I usually do themed weeks once in a while, which are decided by a Twitter poll. And this week just so happens to be dating week, so everything I'm reviewing this week is related to dating apps, so let's get to it. So Mystic Messenger is made by Cherries, and the first version that I can find of it being released was on September 3rd, 2016. And as with the theme of the week, it's a dating sim. So yeah. So Mystic Messenger is kind of something I stumbled upon through being on Tumblr a lot, and I did see it a lot when it first came out and I wanted to review it back then, but I did really want to save it for like this specific themed week because I knew it was coming up, and when I did the Twitter poll to decide what week I was doing, I really kind of want a dating week to be picked, or not be picked, because that decided when I was going to be able to review Mystic Messenger. So, that being said, I honestly adore this game. So, it's pretty much in the same vein of all modern, dating simulations or graphic novel based dating games, where all of your decisions, everything you say, has an impact towards the ending, where you can get worse, most games kind of have the scale of worst ending, bad ending, neutral ending, good ending, and best ending. So it runs on that kind of thing, and what you do and your actions within this kind of dictate all of that. But Mystic Messenger has its own little quirky, adage to that, which makes it feel a little more real, which is by taking the dating app and making it seem like you're in an actual messaging app. And it all revolves around this organization called the RFA. And pretty much the plot of the story goes is you can either be very self-aware that this is an app within your choices, or go with the suspension of disbelief and pretend like you just downloaded this app, you didn't know what it was, and now here you are. It starts off with unknown asking these questions about you. It throws you headlong into this chat room full of 5 guys and 1 woman. And pretty much you just kind of sit there and listen to their conversation for a few minutes until they notice that you're there. And from then on, you have to reply with the answers that are given to you in order to have them gain your trust, and then you move on from there. Then, once you get through the prologue, which pretty much just introduces you to all of the characters, lets you know a little bit about them, lets you know their personalities towards you, let them, it pretty much is just a very, very, brilliantly done exposition, because you learn a lot about all of the characters, you learn a lot about their personalities, you learn a lot about what they value, and all of that stuff. And once you get through that, you get to go into the daily episodes, which this blows my mind. It essentially happens in real time. So pretty much from the start of the day to the end of the day, there will be chat room sessions that you can go to. And going to these chat room sessions, you get to interact with these characters. And if you miss it, you can either do the in-game purchases and purchase hourglasses to regain that, so you can get that experience and talk with these characters. Or you can just let it go by and let it be super, super realistic, you missed your chance to talk with them. So you can go back and read the chat log and see that, yeah, they were probably looking for you, or they wanted to talk about something but you weren't there, so it didn't get talked about. Honestly, when I was doing this, it was one of the most, difficult yet rewarding apps that I've ever committed myself to, because I genuinely did have to commit the time to going through all of the days, which there's a substantial amount of days. And for someone like me who just boom, 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 let's get it done, get me the husband. I wanted to get it done, within the first day, because I was genuinely intrigued about this whole concept, and I had, I really wanted to just go headlong into it and just see where the plot went, because I was, that enthralled with it. But the downside is that would have cost a lot of money, and also, I think it's kind of a disservice to let yourself pay to get through it quickly. Because yeah, it does suck because we want instant gratification a lot of the times when playing games, but This one makes you wait for it. Like, you get texts from them, you get phone calls from them, you join with them in chat rooms, and it all feels like very human and very real while it's happening. And the fact that it happens in real time just kind of cements all of that in your head, that like, okay, like, I gotta be listening for this, I gotta help them, I gotta do this, that, and the other thing to progress the story in this way, or I gotta help them in this way, or I need to be ready, because you can kind of see who's going to be in the chat rooms because it is pre-programmed. But all of it just like kind of adds to the depth of the story and everything. And I know usually with my reviews I talk a lot about gameplay, and honestly this one doesn't have a lot of gameplay other than the fact that you need to be there, listen, and all of that other stuff. Now, another interesting thing about this that I really kind of love is randomly throughout the day, or just once you trigger certain events after going through certain episodes, the characters will call you and have a conversation with you. And it's honestly wonderful because all of the characters have voice actors, so you do genuinely get to hear their voices. And me being an American girl, and the fact that they aren't English VAs means that I get to hear the person who I'm dating in Korean, because this is a Korean-based app that was localized for Americans. And just the fact of that like makes it feel a little more real, because the whole thing is set in Korea, and it just kind of immerses you a little bit more. I feel like if it would have been in English, I probably would have laughed a little bit more at it, just because it does have the tropes of Korean romance type of stuff and Korean storytelling in that as well. But the whole thing is just ridiculously immersive. And now for my personal side of it. I know everybody's probably wondering, who did I pick for my first run through? And I picked like the super suave, super romantic like actor Zen. Like, honestly, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like any of them going into it, but I wanted to check it out because I knew I wanted to review it because a lot of people were raving about it. And so I was just like, let's go through it. And by the end of the prologue days, like before you like commit to a certain, like the storylines branch off once you pick someone to romance. And I decided by the end of the day, I did have a choice between Jumin and Zen. So once I got to that, I did decide to pick Zen just because, honestly, he's like a dork but still romantic. And that's me in a nutshell. I am a dork, but I'm a hopeless romantic at the same time. So it just kind of worked out. It was just a really adorable story. I don't want to spoil anything for any of the routes, even though I haven't played through all of them, but I have looked up what happens in all of them. Like, I don't have time to do like 3 months worth of dating sim. Like, that's a lot. But I did dedicate all of that time to do Zen's route and to get his good route. And get his good ending for his route. And it was honestly really worthwhile. It was a lot of fun. I was like literally, I was in college. I'm still in college, but I was in college classes, and like I would get a notification being like, hey, there's a new chat room for you. And as soon as class would be out, I would be like in the chat room. Like, I was very dedicated to this app, like through the first round of me playing it. And just, I can't say enough about it. The intro sequence that you get to see when you first open up the app is like stupidly high quality. The art is stupid high quality. The chat room feels like an actual chat room. They use emotes. They have custom emotes like that show their own reactions to things that make it feel more lifelike. The pictures that they send you are all super high quality. The voicing and like the little voice clips that you get to hear for certain reactions are like just very lifelike and real and just really satisfying to watch through. The design of the app is super smooth. I've never had any issues with it. Everything is super easy to navigate. It's super easy to figure out what you're doing, what you need to do, how to navigate, how to take care of the in-game gameplay where you're managing the story and trying to get guests to come to the RFA party. Like, all of that is very, very like intuitive because it isn't super explained to you, or at least it wasn't when I played it. But just through everything, it makes you feel really attached to all of the characters. All of the characters are super endearing. None of them really fall into any, like they all do fall into certain stereotypes, but they all fall out of those certain stereotypes with who they are as well, which makes them feel more human at the same time. And just all of it just feels kind of genuine. It is easy to kind of manipulate what route you're on, just because most of the time it's really obvious what one it wants you to pick for who to please, but I think that's okay, in all honesty. I know, like I said, I keep going back to the story parts, but the visuals are beautiful, the music is wonderful. Like the intro music when you're in the menu is like happy and bright and kind of feels like elevator music. When you're in the chat room, there's music that goes along with that. When there's like big like emotional sequences, or you're reading through stuff and like getting big chunks of plot out of that as well, it's all like just very well done and it's supremely polished. So for everything this app has, I just can't give it anything other than a 10 out of 10. It's brilliant, it was wonderful, it was captivating, and I just had a lot of fun with it. And honestly, after reviewing it, I kind of want to go back and do more of the routes myself. So yeah, as always, the link is in the description if you guys want to try it out yourselves. I highly recommend it if you have the time for it, maybe over a break or something if you're in school, or just in your free time when you can. Like, no matter what you do, there's no wrong way to play this. There's just ways to get more plot if you want it. So I like wholeheartedly, please go play this. Like, I know the hype around it has kind of died down, but it's still a genuinely fun game. It's very satisfying. It's super worthwhile to get through. It does take a lot of dedication, but if you can muscle through it, it definitely pays off in the end. So thank you guys so much for watching. When the whole week is up, make sure to check out the playlist to see everything else in the dating week, like nonsense that's going on. Make sure to stay to the very end of the video so you can see more stuff that I've done and other silly quirky weeks that I've done. And thank you guys, like just thank you guys for watching in general, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.